you know what time it is.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Once again, happy holidays to everybody out there. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. We took some time off last week, and everybody got a chance to enjoy their Christmas. I know I did, and definitely hope you guys got a chance to spend time with your families as we are now heading into a new year. Last two shows of the year, today and tomorrow, and I want those two shows to be special. I want to thank you guys for listening in with us today on Centex Magic 94.5, also on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas, and watching on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for tuning in with me. Final two shows of the year, everybody. I don't know where the time went, but we have already made it to a new year, 2025. Sounds crazy to say. I feel like it just turned 2024, but we're already heading into the new year, folks. And we've got plenty to talk about in these last couple shows of the year, as NFL is right here for the playoffs. We're just about a week away from the playoffs in the NFL. We're heading into round 2 of the first year 12-team college football playoff. NBA season is in full effect. Basketball season for college is in full effect. Just got done calling an MCC game for those MCC fans that wanted to transfer over and listen from the MCC game. Just went into an overtime game. Matter of fact, just finished that game up probably about 35, 40 minutes ago, as MCC men's team was out in Baytown, Texas, taking on Lee College. Came out with the win in that game in overtime. That was a really fun game to watch. So college sports are all back in effect for basketball as well. Got a chance to watch some women's basketball the other day as well, some of the USC games. So plenty of sports going around, plenty to talk about here on Centex Primetime. Joining me in studio today, got a familiar face here on the show, Waco ISD Hall of Famer, San Diego Chargers, Texas Tech legend himself, Mr. Wayne Walker. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone out there. We got a great show for you today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, folks, like I said, plenty to talk about, so we want to go right into it here today. And I want to start with what some of you might not want to hear, but I want to start with your Dallas Cowboys, because I got to talk about the team that they played against and what they've accomplished in the Philadelphia Eagles, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Philadelphia came out short. The Cowboys came up short in that game against Philadelphia. Philadelphia really put it on them, not surprising, at least to me. To some of you guys, it might have been kind of surprising. I'm not sure why. I know Dallas had won 4 out of their last 5, but, reality had to set back in just a little bit, and the big boys came into town with Philadelphia Eagles. Even though they were down their quarterback, they were down 2 quarterbacks at one point in the game. Jalen Hurts did not play in this game. Kenny Pickett played, I believe, majority of the game until he got hurt. And then we saw Tanner McKee come into the game and throw 2 touchdowns as well. So they were kind of spreading the wealth around on the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Eagles win 41-7 over the Dallas Cowboys. We know that the Cowboys were eliminated from playoff contention last week, so this game didn't really mean much anyway. But Philadelphia, it meant something to them, even with their backup quarterback, and they came out and put on a show on the offensive end. 41-7, Kenny Pickett, 143 yards and a touchdown, no picks. Saquon Barkley is the biggest story of the game. 31 carries, as they were trying to give him as many carries as they could. 31 carries, 167 yards, as he breaks over the 2,000-yard mark for the season and is now 107 yards, I believe, away from breaking the record that Eric Dickerson put up almost 30 years ago. It's been a while since anyone has been close to breaking this record. I remember when Adrian Peterson had the chance to break the record, and he came up, I believe, maybe 40 yards short when he was on the Minnesota Vikings, his MVP year back in 2012 after he came off an ACL. And Saquon Barkley's got a chance to do something that many have tried to do. You think about guys like Chris Johnson. You think about guys like Jamal Lewis that rushed for over 2,000. We just talked about Adrian Peterson rushed for over 2,000. Saquon's got a chance to be able to break this record. One more game left in the season. I'm pretty sure they're going to be sitting most of their guys because this team is 13-3, and they've got Super Bowl aspirations. But when you're this close, I believe you got to give Saquon a chance to go after that record. In that first half, I mean, almost every play needs to be going to him. However he can get a rush to try to get a chance of breaking his record, he should get that opportunity to be able to do that. And it's against, who else would it be against? The New York Giants, his former team, that let him walk in the offseason, decided to sign Daniel Jones over him, and he gets a chance to break the record against his former team that undervalued him, honestly. So, Wayne, I want to get your opinion on first what you think about the Eagles' performance yesterday against the Cowboys, and then Saquon and having a chance to be able to break this record.
Well, the Eagles are playing for something. So they're getting ready for their next season. They're getting ready for the playoff run.
Yep.
So they're playing for something. Dallas had won the last 4 games. Really been playing good football. Defense have come along. And, they've been playing pretty good. With Saquon, you have to give him a chance to break that record. That's an accomplishment that will live on. And I mean, it's an NFL record that has stood for over like 30 years.
Yeah.
So you have to give him an opportunity to do that. And you want to do it in the first half. So you'll go out and you'll say, hey, we're going to give you the ball 20 times or 25 times this game. Let's get it done in the first half, and then let's sit this guy out. Because that's important, and that's important to him, and then it's important to the guys that block for him. It's an individual accomplishment, but it's also a team accomplishment as well. Because those guys that block for him, they take pride in that as well. So you want to give him an opportunity to break that record, but you want to get it done in the first half and sit this guy down and get him rested for the playoffs.
Yeah, the playoffs, like you said, it's a second season. This is a time that you want to be a champion. They've got all the way to the Super Bowl, 2 years ago in 2022 when they got a chance to get all the way there. This is a team that they want to win the Super Bowl, and they have the team to be able to do it. So when you think about that, you do, like you said, you want to be able to sit Saquon in that second half, but you got to give this guy a bite at the apple to be able to try to break that record because, like you said, a record that's been standing for over 30 years, it's an amazing accomplishment to even be considered, to even have a chance to be able to break that record. Now, when Adrian Peterson did it, there was less games. Whenever he had the chance to break it, I think he came up like 40 yards short. Obviously, it was one less game when Eric Dickerson broke the record initially back then as well. But when Adrian Peterson did it, Adrian Peterson won the MVP. Now, this year, there's been a lot of talk, and we've even talked about it on this show, about Lamar Jackson and the amazing season he's had, about Josh Allen and the amazing season he's having. Do we got to put – and Saquon is a guy that I had there earlier in the year, but once the play of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen kind of elevated, I kind of put him on the back burner. But if he's able to break this record, does he need to be able to come out of this with an MVP trophy, or is Offensive Player of the Year going to have to suffice for Saquon?
I think Offensive Player of the Year is going to have to suffice. MVP is a guy that's undoubtedly the team leader that makes his team rise to the top, and I think that's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has been playing remarkable this whole year, outstanding, lost his 2 deep threats, a team that they said was going to get, I think, 4th in their division.
Yeah.
3rd in their division.
Yeah, 3rd. Yeah.
And now, hey, they're one of the top teams in the AFC. So I think Josh Allen has done that. He has had his team. He has risen the team and made those guys better, and everything around him has been going outstanding for the Bills this year. And I think he's that guy. I think he's the MVP. There's nobody playing as well as he is these last 10 weeks, I would say. So I would think Josh Allen would be MVP, and I think Offensive Player of the Year would go to Saquon Barkley. But you have some more guys in there. I think Joe Burrow's been playing.
Man.
He's probably the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah.
But he's not playing for anything. He still has a chance to go to the playoffs. But man, the way he's been playing the last 3, 4, 5 games, man, I mean, he looks like the best quarterback in the whole league.
I mean,
and then you have Lamar over here, who is has broken records, has played better than he ever has, and he has 2 MVPs. So you just think about all that. You think about Patrick Mahomes, who hasn't had a great year, but they still won 14 games. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of guys you can say that's MVP caliber, but I don't think anyone has played better than Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen and Lamar are still those 2 top guys in my opinion. I mean, it's hard to be able to quantify exactly what these 2 guys have done, especially when you talk about Josh Allen losing all of those weapons that he lost, injuries on the defensive side, injuries on the offensive line. They're still sitting at 13-3 right now. Honestly, would have the number 1 seed if it wasn't for Kansas City sitting at 15-1 right now. Most of the time when you're a 13-3 team, you're looking at having that number 1 seed. I think the Ravens went 14-3 last year, and they had the number 1 seed throughout the entire playoffs. And
Jalen, it's been an unusual year. You just think about it.
It has.
Like Derrick Henry last year. Last year, Derrick Henry, Saquon, they all could have been MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any other year, any given year, they could have been MVPs. But the statistics this year are just kind of overwhelming for a lot of players. Saquon, Derrick Henry, Lamar, and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So it's an unusual year, but above all of that, I think Josh Allen has played above that. I think he has he exemplifies what an MVP is as far as making his team better without the weapons. Lamar has Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Philadelphia has Jalen Hurts. They have 2 guys on the outside that can play. He doesn't have all of that.
No.
He doesn't have that. So he's been, like I said, he exemplifies what MVP is, and I think he's that guy this year.
Going back to this Philadelphia and Cowboys game, we talked about Philly and
Never miss the hilarious Ricky Smiley.
Number 1 show in the city.
Hey, what up? This your man Ricky Smiley, man. Happy holidays, and make sure you keep it locked right here every morning this week as we bring you the very best of the Ricky Smiley Morning Show.
And you know I got the hot spot with music, movies, and more.
just way back in to keeping his job. Because if you asked me this question in week 5, week 6, I would have said Mike McCarthy's gone. He's got no chance, and he's just kind of out here coaching until the end of the year, until they come up with a new coach. They still haven't extended him. But as of right now, it almost looks like Mike McCarthy might have coached his way back into being his Dallas Cowboys head coach. What was your thoughts on that, on a lot of this chatter going around? Should Dallas decide to bring him back as a coach? And do you think he might have earned his way into being back as a head coach?
Well, one thing about it is if your team is going out there and playing for you, that means he hadn't lost the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys want to go out and still compete and play for him. And so with that being said, I think he has kind of coached his way back in because the players believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on a team where a coach has been fired, and it was just like going through the motions. You know, nobody believed in anything. Guys wasn't practicing hard. Guys wasn't totally into the game. So with that being said, with a guy and his team winning 4 of the last 5 games, that means he still has a handle on the locker room.
Yeah.
That means guys still want to go out and play for him. So it's a decision that needs to be made. I mean, and that's only the GM, the owner, Jerry Jones is going to decide that. And after the season, they all decision that needs to be made. And I think they will. The thing about that, the other thing about that is they're still not going to win their division because Washington is only going to get better.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is not going to change. You know, so in their division, they're third at best.
And not a lot of wiggle room when you're looking at capital within the cap room.
Right.
Not a lot of wiggle room when you're talking about draft picks. It's not like they have a extra amount of draft picks. They still have the regular amount of picks. within there. So there's not a lot of, unfortunately, not a lot of room for growth. There's room for growth after a year like this, but not a lot of headroom.
And you just think about all the other teams that's in the NFC. You think about Minnesota. You think about Detroit. You think about Green Bay. You think about Tampa Bay. You see an Atlanta team that's gonna get better. So I don't see any improvements. I don't see them going to the playoffs even next year. So I don't see a lot of wiggle room for the Cowboys as far as advancing. And so you'll find yourself in the same place again next year, is what I'm thinking. But I don't know. And like you said, they don't have a lot of money. They don't have high draft choices unless they go out, and they can't go out and get anybody in free agency. So they're going to basically bring back the same team
with Mike McCarthy potentially as the head coach. And I understand why Jerry doesn't like a lot of change. He keeps a lot of the coaches. We've seen Jason Garrett go 8-8 for 3 or 4 years. No change is made. Mike McCarthy has won 12-5 the last 3 years until this season. So I wouldn't be shocked about them bringing him back. I just don't know if that's necessarily the right answer. At this point, there's so many different layers into this Cowboys situation. I don't know what the right answer is, Wayne. I'm not sure what direction they should go with.
Like I said, you're playing in a tough NFC.
Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco had a down year this year. The Rams are in the playoffs. Seattle is going to be back. You think about Arizona, all of these teams I think are better than the Cowboys. So I just think you find yourself in the same situation again next year, thinking, well, should we fire him this year? You know, we're going to give him another chance, but you'll find yourself in the situation again next year saying, hey, we're going to finally fire him. I think if you break it up and you tear it down, I think you need to start with a new coach.
And that's what I've said since the beginning of the year. I think this is a situation that I know Jerry Jones loves his money, and I know he doesn't want his fans to have to sit through a 4-13 season, a 5-12 season. But you got to break this up. At this point, there's not a lot of room for growth here when you're paying Dak $55-60 million a year. And for everybody, I've said on this show before, I think the Cowboys would have the same record if Dak was playing as well, too. I think the games they won, they would win with Dak. I think the games they lost, they would lose with Dak.
You know, and all these Cowboy fans are optimistic. You know, it's the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl every year. You know, but hey, man, I'm got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work to do there, and I don't know if bringing Mike McCarthy back is the right or wrong answer, because you could fire him and you're still gonna bring another guy in
and I don't
with the same situation.
Yeah. And I don't want to just talk because my whole family is Cowboy fans.
Oh man, everybody, everybody I know.
And you know, I don't want to kind of tear them down, but it's just that's just the realistic view of what's happening with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
they got a lot of work to do, and I just don't see them. I see them in the same situation again next year, planning for vacation again about this time.
Yeah, at the same time again next year. So still lots of questions to be answered for the Dallas Cowboys. So Cowboys fans, don't feel too bad. There's a lot of questions that you need to be answered going into the offseason. But since we're talking about the Cowboys, I want to get on to my team because my team didn't put up any better of a fight this last weekend as well. The Baltimore Ravens on Christmas Day get a chance to play against Houston Texans. As you know, the people that have been listening with me the last couple of weeks, I am a Texans fan. I did not sit there and let the Texans ruin my Christmas. I cut that game off after Beyonce got done at halftime, man. I wasn't finna let the Texans mess my Christmas up. But Baltimore Ravens completely dismantled the Houston Texans on Christmas Day on Netflix, 31-2. And that score is right, folks, 31-2. We got one safety. They tried to throw a little back pass to Derrick Henry in the end zone, and we hit him and got a little bit hype. And that was it. That was the rest. That was all the hype until Beyonce came out at halftime because there was no other fight on the field. 31-2 was the score. Lamar Jackson didn't really have to do much at all. 10 for 15, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Also 4 carries for 87 yards. We saw him with that super quick run up the sideline, 48-yard run up the sideline for a touchdown. I think he got up to like 22 miles an hour. He said he was jogging on the play. It was a bad day for us, Wayne. I cut the game off, though, like I said. After Beyonce got down at halftime, I wasn't finna sit up and keep watching this, man. But the Baltimore Ravens looking like still one of the teams to beat in the AFC, sitting at 11-5. They've lost some games that they were supposed to win. And I think that's ultimately what's going to hurt Lamar Jackson in the MVP race as opposed to Josh Allen, because they lost some games they were supposed to win. They lost to a Raiders team. They lost some games that they needed to come out there and dominate in. But there's times when they come out here like this against a Texans team, as bad as they've been playing the last couple of weeks. They're 9-7 and they're in the playoffs. This is a playoff team and still one of the better defenses in the league. Our offense is the reason why we've been struggling, haven't been able to get anything going on offense. But the defense has still been playing at a good level. And Lamar and the Ravens just come out there and make it look easy. Derrick Henry, 147 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews got in on the action, 68 yards and a touchdown as well. This Ravens team, Wayne, this is still, in my opinion, one of the top teams to beat in that AFC going into the playoffs.
No doubt. I mean, they have it all. You know, they have a mid-level defense that's top tier, and then you have an offense that has probably the best two tight ends in the league. They have great wideouts, and they have probably the best back in the AFC. Mm-hmm. Probably with one of the better quarterbacks, one of the top three quarterbacks, because like I said, you talk about Joe Barrows, you talk about Josh Allen, and you talk all those guys right there together. But man, such a prolific offense, and their defense is starting to play well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all will be forgotten about those games that they were supposed to win earlier if they can come out and do what they're supposed to do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, they beat Pittsburgh, and they finally got over that notch. So they come out, they beat the Texans, and if they can get over this playoff hump, because that's where Lamar has regressed at.
Yeah.
When he gets to the playoffs, and if he can come out this year and he can prove everybody wrong and prove all the critics and us wrong, and get him a playoff win or two, then all will be forgotten. So, and your Texans, man, the strength of their team has always been their defense.
For sure.
They had a great offense last year, and C.J. Stroud, I think, has taken a step back.
For sure. But
pressure do that when it's guys always at your feet. When they're rushing the passer, and guys always at your feet, man, you'll take a step back because you can't step into the throw. You don't know when you're going to get hit, and he's been sacked numerous times. And then you don't have your weapons. You don't have Tank Dell. You don't have,
Stephon Diggs.
And you were supposed to take a leap forward this year, and you've taken a step back. So
yeah.
But Baltimore is I think Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, and that's going to be some good football as well in that AFC as well. I think it'll come down to those three teams.
Yeah. Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. Man, those are the top teams in the league. We're talking about just the AFC. Those are some of the top teams in the league when you talk about those three, especially at the quarterback position.
And I heard what you said on your show about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is always going to be a team that do enough to get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But Pittsburgh is not a team that scares me.
No.
If you're talking about that, they don't have any weapon that scares me. They don't have anything that scares me.
Yeah.
I
agree.
They're mediocre. And I heard you say this, and I want to commend you on that, because when you said that, I was like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, they're one of those teams. You just hit the nail on the head. They're going to do enough to get to the playoffs. We've seen them get to the playoffs with Mason Rudolph as a quarterback. So Russell Wilson coming in at the quarterback, or Justin Fields, I expect them to make the playoffs. But what are you going to do once you get to the playoffs? They haven't found that playmaker on the offensive end yet. They don't have that Jerome Bettis. They don't have that Le'Veon Bell, that Antonio Brown that scares you on the offensive end.
And you look at teams now, and everybody has somebody on their team that scares you.
Yeah.
Even if it's at the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes scares a lot of teams.
Man.
Travis Kelce, he scares a lot of teams. Josh Allen scares a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Lamar and Derrick Henry.
Both of them, yeah.
So they don't have that guy on their team that's just someone that you just say, hey, this guy scares me, and he's going to. So I see Pittsburgh exiting early, and the Denver Broncos and those guys, I don't know if they're even in the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
They let a game get away.
They did.
The Chargers, they don't really have anyone that scares me.
Nuh-uh.
So, I mean, you're looking at those three teams in the AFC. And Houston, I mean, they like I said, they regress. They'll make it to the playoffs, but still, they don't have anyone that scares me.
No, not at all. Houston is right in line. You said the Cowboys will be planning their vacation. Houston's right behind them planning their vacation. They just got a week. They just got a week start.
Yeah, a week later. Yeah.
They'll be a week behind because and it's not even because of the defense or even that I think C.J. Stroud is a bad player. When you can't block anybody, the thing about all the quarterbacks being in the AFC, like Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, that means all the pass rushers are in the AFC as well.
Right.
So no matter who the Texans get matched up with, Broncos, Chargers, any of those teams, they all can rush the passer.
They have defense.
And Houston cannot block anybody. So even though they are my team, and I will be rooting for them in the playoffs, I suspect a first-round exit for Houston because if you can't get blocks against some of the regular teams that Houston has been playing over the last few weeks. We couldn't block that well against the Titans. Lost that game against the Titans. We couldn't block that well against the Dolphins. I mean, well, you're not going to be able to block well against the Broncos. You're not going to be able to block well against the Chargers or the Steelers if you got to play those guys. So, unfortunately for y'all that are Texans fans like myself, I see a first-round exit brewing right now for my Houston Texans. Folks, we got plenty to talk about today here on the show. Got some more games we got to touch. Got to go to a quick break. When we come back, got to talk about this overtime game between the number 2 pick and the number 8 pick in Michael Penix and Jaden Daniels, the overtime game on Sunday Night Football. Got to talk about Kansas City just keeps finding a way to win over and over. And got to talk about Sam Darnold and these Vikings because they got a good win yesterday over a Green Bay team. So we got plenty to talk about here on Centex Primetime. Stay tuned and stay locked in. We'll be right back after this break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blasian Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blasian Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime here on Centex Magic 94.5, Centex Sports Network, and Infinity Sports Radio, Central Texas. Want to thank you guys for joining in with me here today, listening in. Still joined in the studio by Wayne Walker. We just got done wrapping up talking about some of these games from last week in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys falling to Philadelphia Eagles. My Houston Texans falling to Baltimore Ravens on Christmas. And we still got plenty of games to talk about here today on the show, as it was a full weekend of sports this last weekend. It's going to keep going because we've got the college football playoff. Round 2 starts tomorrow and Wednesday on New Year's. We also had a lot of bowl games going on. We'll talk some more about those in hour number 2 as well. Staying on some of these games here in the NFL, like I said, just got done talking about the Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles and how well they've been playing. But I want to talk about some of the younger talent in the league, and Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix, who last night gave us an overtime thriller on Sunday Night Football to cap off what was a really good weekend of football. Washington Commanders come out with the win 30-24 against the Atlanta Falcons. Jaden Daniels shines once again. 227 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick, and ran for 127 yards to go along with it. Now, this is a guy that when coming out, I thought he could be kind of a Robert Griffin, maybe if he didn't get hurt, or somebody in that line. But, I mean, he's starting to look like kind of a Lamar, Michael Vick type of quarterback with these rushing numbers he's putting up. I knew he could run. Obviously, he was running when he was in college, when he was at LSU. But, man, these last couple of weeks, he has really done a great job rushing the football, keeping this rushing attack going. They got a Brian Robinson Jr. in there running the ball as well. He's finding his guys in the receiving game, not just Terry McLaurin, but he's finding multiple guys out there. Jaden Daniels is playing at a high level of football right now. On the other side of that, Michael Penix, the number 8 pick in the draft, who got his first start last week, and then in his second start ever, you get tossed into a playoff-like scenario against a playoff team and the Commanders that's been playing some really good football, and he did okay in this game. He didn't come out there and look too shy, too timid at the beginning of the game. I think the defense was kind of moving a little too fast for him, but as the game progressed, they got into that second quarter, he started going through his reads. Then that final drive for them to get to overtime was a great drive put on by Michael Penix, and didn't look like a rookie when he was out there. They're finally giving Bijan Robinson the ball in Atlanta. He had 90 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. Drake London looked great in that game. Kyle Pitts finally caught a touchdown. I think this might be his first touchdown all year, and we're at the end of the year. But Atlanta still falls short, not eliminated from the playoffs yet. They'll need some help from some teams and losing and stuff like that to be able to still make the playoffs. But Atlanta right now sitting right outside of the playoffs. Washington in the playoffs. They've earned their spot into the playoffs now. And Jaden Daniels playing some really good football. Wayne, what do you think about that game last night on Sunday Night Football?
Well, last night you seen the future of the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, these two guys are going to probably be battling for the next 10 years or so. Michael Penix played outstanding. It takes a while to get used to the speed of the game, especially you can practice all you want to and say this is this is game tempo, this is game speed. But until you get in the game, until you play, the speed of the game is, man, extraordinary. Like, it's on a whole nother level. And he had to get his feet up off and under him last night. He came in, he came off, played a little slow. But then when he got used to the speed of the game, he speeded up with it. And this is a guy that's been in big-time playoff games, played in the national championship game, was a runner-up in the Heisman voting. So you expect him to do that. When he was drafted, everybody said, why do you draft him and then you go pay this quarterback $80 million? Well, now you see why they went out and got this guy. This guy's a special talent, and he's going to be their leader in the future. But you seen the future of the NFL last night with him and Jaden. And there's nothing more I can say about Jaden Daniels, man. This guy right here, man, is cool as ice. I mean, he looks like a 10-year veteran already.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just so calm and relaxed. And he's a leader. It's nothing more I can say about him. But that's why when we talk about Cowboys, it's going to be Philadelphia and it's going to be Washington from here on out for a long time, as long as they got him at the helm.
Yeah, as long as he's there, man, it's going to be rough on the NFC East because this dude, like you said, he looks like a 8-10-year vet out there playing football already. This is rookie year.
So calm and collective, man, and he's a leader. Like, they respect him as their leader, which is a difference from Robert Griffin. When Robert Griffin came into the league, he was the same way. He lit the league on fire.
Yeah.
But the thing about him is he wasn't that leader per se to go out and lead men. You know, you're leading men that's 10, 15 years older than you are. As a rookie, you have to be able to come in and handle that situation. Well, he has handled that situation. He has taken advantage of that situation. And those guys listen to him and they respect him as a leader.
Yeah, and he's set himself up for, I think the Commanders are going to be a destination team as we get into these next couple years of free agency. They've got a young roster mixed in with some veterans that are going to end up trickling out, like Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner. Some of those guys are going to trickle out and retire. But they're going to have plenty of cap room to be able to sign some guys. The only player that they're really paying like that on the offensive end is Terry McLaurin. They haven't really had to pay any of their linemen yet. They've paid Allen and Deron Payne on the defensive side of the football. But outside of that, nobody's really got paid yet. They go and get a Marshawn Lattimore in a trade as New Orleans was getting rid of some of their older guys. He's a guy they can build around. I think the Commanders are going to be a destination spot for a lot of free agents these next couple summers.
I mean, you bring up a great point here. You just think about Washington, and you think about their head coach, a defensive-minded coach that defensive guys can have fun with.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a lot of sacks. You're going to get a lot of man-to-man coverage. You're going to get a lot of blitz packages. So playing defense for him is fun. Then you think about the offensive side. The only person on the offensive side that scares me from Washington is who? Jaden Daniels. You get a better line. You go out and get you some skill positions, some better running backs, some better receivers. Terry is good.
Yeah.
But you can do better.
Yeah,
you
for
go
sure.
get him some playmakers, and like you say, it's going to be a destination team. I think a lot of guys will want to go play in the Capitol because of this guy, because of Jaden Daniels. They'll want to go play for those guys. So you bring up a good point, man. They're the team of the future.
Yeah, the Commanders on the up right now, way ahead of schedule. This team just picked number 2 in the draft last year, and they didn't trade up. That was their actual pick because of their record. And you turn around just a year later, they're 11-5, 7-2 at home, and on their way to the playoffs after a good win against an Atlanta team that's sitting right outside of the playoffs as well. In Atlanta, sitting at 8-8. Like I said, they'll have a chance to be able to get in, but they'll need some other pieces to shake around for them to have a chance to get into the playoffs. But Washington solidifies themselves, seals up a deal, and getting to the playoffs. So Jaden Daniels will be heading to the playoffs, and he's going to be a fun watch in these playoffs. I mean, a lot of teams are not just signing up to go and play the Commanders first round of the playoffs. when you come out, especially right now, they got a chance. Look like they might be playing against the Philadelphia team, who we know they've had some success against in the past. So it's looking like a fun first round of the playoffs, especially in the NFC. The NFC is loaded this year. I thought that would be the AFC because all the quarterbacks in the AFC, but all the best teams outside of those top couple guys we talked about in the AFC, everybody else is in the NFC right now. NFC is pretty loaded, and the Commanders are a part of that. I want to talk about one of the other teams in the NFC, since we're talking about the NFC, and the Minnesota Vikings getting the win over the Green Bay Packers. Now, this was a really fun game to watch. I watched this game. Minnesota pretty much came out dominant the entire game until that fourth quarter. Green Bay kind of turned it around and started making it a game. But, I mean, you couldn't have paid me to say that Minnesota was going to be this good at the end of the season, at the beginning of the season. No way I would have thought Minnesota was going to be 14-2. I would have said maybe a playoff team, and that's a fringe playoff team, maybe last spot in the wild card. But they're 8-1 at home, 14-2 on the season. Sam Darnold is playing at an MVP level. Does it again yesterday against a division foe, who I think is also a really good team. They had a couple guys banged up yesterday that didn't play in the Green Bay Packers, but they're a really good team. And, man, Sam Darnold came out and was making it look easy yesterday. 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick in the game. Got multiple guys involved. We know about Justin Jefferson and what he can do. He had 92 yards in the game, but he got Jalen Naylor involved, got a touchdown. Jordan Addison, who stepped up and looking like one of the better number 2 receivers in the league, and that's looking like it's going to be a duo, a real duo to deal with as we get further and further down the line with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But the defense still playing phenomenal football. I mean, I don't know what the defensive coordinator, coach of the year award is, but it's got to go to Brian Flores. He has been coaching out of his mind this whole season on the defensive side of the ball with this Minnesota Vikings team. The Vikings sitting at 14-2 and a chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. I mean, no one could have said they could have guessed this. I even when they started 4-1, I thought, okay, well, eventually, or 5-0, I was like, okay, well, eventually they're going to lose 3-4 games in the middle of the season. They'll start to tail off. Sam Darnold will start to regress back to the mean and go back to the Sam Darnold of old. But situation plays a huge part in people's production in the NFL. Sam Darnold is a proof of that, as he is balling on the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota looking like one of the best teams in the league, Wayne.
Right now, I would probably say they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
The most balanced team in the league to me.
For sure.
Especially offensive-wise. They got a good offensive line. They got good skill positions on the outside. 2 good running backs with
Never miss the hilarious Ricky Smiley.
Number 1 show in the city.
Hey, what up? This your man Ricky Smiley, man. Happy holidays, and make sure you keep it locked right here every morning this week as we bring you the very best of the Ricky Smiley Morning Show.
The best game player in the league as far as defense, because they played top-notch all year. And to me, they're the most complete team in the league because they can do it offensively or they can do it defensively. You just look at this, and the only team that they've lost to is Detroit, right? Detroit, and I think San Francisco.
Oh, they lost to the Rams on that Thursday night football. Yeah,
okay.
Detroit and the Rams back-to-back.
And those are two playoff teams.
Yeah,
and the time they lost to Detroit, they lost on a field goal with 15 seconds left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 29-31. And they get a chance to go back, and they get to go back to redeem themselves this week. And I think they'll beat the Lions, because one thing about the Vikings is they can get stops.
Yeah.
They can get stops. They can stop people, but I don't think Detroit is going to be able to stop them. So I think the game will ultimately come down to the Vikings defense stopping them about 3 times, and them not being able to stop the Vikings offense, because that's a machine too. They got probably, when you talk about duo receivers, I think they got one of the top duos of receivers in the league.
For sure.
And Sam Darnold's been playing at MVP level himself. So I'm thinking those guys are going and they'll beat Detroit. I think it'll be hard for Detroit to overcome all of those defensive injuries. I think they'll play well, and and Dan Campbell is a great motivator. They got a great offensive team, and they'll put up some points, but I just don't think they'll beat Minnesota this week.
Yeah, I got I got Minnesota beating them as well, and I think Minnesota's going to be the number 1 seed coming out of the NFC, which is crazy to say. And like you said, they lost to Detroit early in the year. That was a last-second loss that they got to them. And the Rams, they had an opportunity to go down there and tie the game up with like 2 or 3 minutes left, and a controversial fumble in the end zone led to a safety, which ended up taking them out of the game. So both of those games they were in, and they lost them in back-to-back weeks. Since then, they won 9 games in a row.
Right.
Beating multiple playoff teams. They've beaten the Packers. They've beaten the Seahawks. They've beaten the Falcons. They've beaten teams that are on their way to the playoffs. And before that, they beat the 49ers. They dismantled the Texans when the Texans were playing good. They beat the Jets when the Jets still had some hope. So Minnesota has put together good wins all year long. Sam Darnold played at an MVP level. If you're a team like the Cowboys or a team like there's a few teams that are going to be looking for coaches, the Raiders, or do you give Brian Flores another chance, another shot at being a head coach? Because this guy's coaching out of his mind right now, at least on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think he was doing too bad of a job when he was in Miami.
He's getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, he was getting them to the playoffs with Miami, and now we see with Mike McDaniel where the Dolphins at right now. But he was getting Miami to the playoffs, and now you're looking at what Brian Flores can do with a defense. Because it's not like they're out here with a star-studded defense. He went and got guys that were honestly, a lot of these guys were rejects from other teams. You got
right.
Jonathan Grenard and Blake Cashman and all those guys from the Texans who played good on the Texans. They just didn't want to pay him. They went and got Stephon Gilmore from the Cowboys. He played good. They just didn't want to pay him. He went and got all of these guys, put them all together, and, man, the defense has been playing great. Do you think Brian Flores should get another shot?
I do. I think that if you put him in the right situation, with guys that has a little offensive firepower, because his strength is defense, and he's a system guy. So with a system guy, his system is going to work. Everywhere he's been successful defensively.
Yeah.
Even when he was with Miami, his defense was relevant. But you have to give him – if you give him that job in Chicago and you go out and get your offensive coordinator, then I think you would turn that whole organization around. But he definitely deserves another opportunity. One of the great bright minds on defense. We always talk about these guys on offense. You talk about Brian Johnson. You talk about all these guys in the league that's offensive gurus. That's a defensive guru. I think he deserves a chance to be a head coach. He got a taste of it before. I don't think he handled it well with the players because at some point when you're a head coach, you have to think about your offense and your defense. You have to think about your players, and you can't just say what you want to. You have to be a little bit more delicate with guys when it comes to being in that head coaching position because you got guys that's getting paid more than you.
Yeah.
And you got some guys that'll be organizational guys that'll be there for a long time and the fans love, and you can't just say whatever you want to say. So you kind of got to dictate and be delicate with guys. But I think he definitely deserves another chance, although it has to be the right position.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think and the Chicago one was a great point. I think he goes to Chicago, not only does he bring that culture with him, but he brings the defense with him. If you can bring – and Chicago's defense played good this year at times, but if you bring in a guy that can make something happen like that on Chicago, it just takes so much pressure off of a Caleb Williams to have to go out there and be great every single Sunday because he knows, hey, if the defense is going to be good, they might give up 10, 15, 17 points every single week like we saw with Sam Darnold and the success he had. He had to work his way into what he's become now because he still had those thoughts of old when they started the season. He didn't know that he probably felt like he could be a great quarterback, but Kevin O'Connell didn't know he was going to come in and be a great quarterback. He didn't even pick him as a starter. He had to earn his way into getting that spot, and a lot of that was helped by the defense, holding the Texans to 7 points, holding the Giants to 6 points at the beginning of the season.
And the injury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
McCarthy, who they thought was going to be their starter, and he was just going to be a backup. But this guy's come in, and he's played himself into a rich man.
Do you pay Sam Darnold? That was my last question with the Vikings. Do you pay Sam Darnold?
You have to. I mean,
I agree.
It's almost like you have to let McCarthy sit there and wait a little bit. Let him gain that experience. You get this guy 2 or 3 years. But if I'm winning, that's what it's all about, is winning. What more do you want from your organization to win? You won 14 games with this guy. And if you've seen the locker room celebration last night where these guys have embraced him as their leader, as their quarterback, then you almost have to pay him. You almost have to pay him.
I think you do too. First off, you're sitting in the division with the team that's put out the model on how to develop a quarterback for the last 30-something years in the Green Bay Packers. I see nothing wrong with sitting J.J. McCarthy for another 2 to 3 years. I say pay Sam Darnold, give him a 3 to 4 year deal. By that time, he'll be 30-something. He's been in the league for a little while. You'll get what you can get out of him, and he's winning. You can't do that to your locker room above anything else. You can't strip away a guy that's got them to the best record that the Vikings have had in probably since the 80s or 90s. Now sitting at 14-2. So you can't take that away from this guy. Sam Darnold has gone out there and earned his spot and earned his right to get a check.
Confidence is everything as a quarterback, man. And he has that confidence, and he has an organization that believes in him, a head coach, and guys that believe in him. So, I mean, with that being said, man, you have to almost pay this guy. You have to get you got to give this guy his flowers, man.
Yeah.
You have to take care of him.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe you got to go ahead and pay him. Stay out there with Kevin O'Connell. And even on Sam Darnold's side, I say you stay with the Vikings because the grass is not always greener. You might go over there and you might get offered $100-something million, $200 million by the Cleveland Browns, and then you're right back to looking like Sam Darnold in New York.
Well, you playing with an outstanding offense that has true playmakers on the outside, and you have running backs. You have a great line, and like you say, grass is not always green on the other side. So you have to pretty much stay with what got you there.
Yeah.
And what got you there is they gave you an opportunity to come out and be a part of their organization, and you came in as a backup, and you played yourself into a very, very, very rich man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's definitely earned his money out there. What do you think this Vikings ceiling is? Is this a team that we could see in the NFC Championship? Is this a team we could see in the Super Bowl?
I think you could potentially see them in the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, that NFC is tough because but I know I see Minnesota beat the Buccaneers. They beat the brakes off the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
If they go in and they beat Detroit, which is basically the top team, them in Philadelphia, it's just right now is the most important part of the year because now this is where football really starts.
Yeah.
The game planning is essential to every team because now, you get into that point to where you got guys a little banged up, guys a little hurt, so, you resting those guys. But now you at top level. You at the top of it all in football. And when I say the top of it all, you're in the best shape you've ever been in right now. You can play through a whole game. And the physicality is a lot better right now. You got guys banging heads.
Yeah.
So, man, when you get into playoff season and you start that other season, it just gives you another burst of energy to come out and start that season. And now you're playing for the ring.
Yeah, you're playing for it all. And the thing about the NFC,
you're playing for the ring.
A lot of the top teams in the NFC, they play in domes. So you're not even have to really worrying about a lot of inclement weather.
Yeah, that's in the AFC.
Yeah. In the AFC, you got to go play outside. There's not too many teams got the domes, but Minnesota plays in the dome. Detroit plays in the dome. The Rams play in the dome. These are all teams that could potentially have home games going into the playoffs. So
and then you think about it. Then you look at the AFC. You talk about Kansas City,
super cold.
You think about Buffalo, which is Canada cold, which I've experienced before. And then you think about Baltimore.
Yeah.
So, man,
it's rough if you're in that AFC,
and Pittsburgh,
man. And Pittsburgh. Yeah. Those are all really cold places to play. And the AFC, you're going to have to go outside. You play in the AFC. But the NFC, outside of Philly, I don't know any other team is going to have a home game that's going to be outside. I know Philly will probably have a home game, at least one or two of them. And outside of that, I mean, Detroit's going to be at home. Minnesota potentially is going to be at home. LA is going to win their division. They're going to be at home. I mean, man, so we might see some great football from a Sam Darnold. We might see some great football from a Jared Goff.
Where wind and weather won't have a play in, what goes on the field.
Yeah.
It's only football.
Just football. And I think that's going to make some great playoff footballs. We're getting just 1 week away from the playoffs, folks. Can't wait to be able to see some of these teams match up against each other. The matchups are almost set. We got just one last week left to be able to solidify these playoff matchups in the NFL. Folks, we got to take a break. When we come back for hour number 2, we got to talk about the college football playoffs. Got to talk about some more of these NFL games that just happened this past weekend. Got to talk about Monday night game tonight about this Detroit team we were just talking about. They play the 49ers tonight on Monday Night Football. So we got to talk about that. And we got to do a couple of quick texts. Also, we'll have somebody calling in with us to talk a little bit about some more sports here. Familiar face that a lot of you guys will know. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Prime Time. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken #1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken #1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken #1 at 11th and Clay.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's
680.
Office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 here on the show today. Want to thank everybody for listening in with us today on Centex Magic 94.5. Also on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas. Also want to thank you all that's been watching on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. So far today, just finished up hour number 1 talking a lot of NFL. Got to go through a few of those games. We'll talk some more about those. We'll also talk about the college football playoffs round 2 coming up tomorrow and on Wednesday as well for the New Year's. Want to wish everybody a happy New Year's out there. Happy holidays to everybody listening in with us so far today. Still joined in the studio by Wayne Walker, and we have a special guest calling in with us fresh off of a victory today, as some of you guys heard earlier for our Centex Sports Network fans. MCC's head coach, Coach Kevin Gill, calling in with us right now. Coach Gill, what's going on?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. And congrats on another win, Coach. As we know, we talked about it earlier this year. You got 700 wins in college basketball now under your belt, 700 wins. And you also had a day named after you here in the Central Texas area. Talk a little bit about, what it's been like to be a part of not only this MCC program, but just this Central Texas community coming from this greater Waco area coming out of La Vega.
It's really been a blessing because, I was able to coach so many young men that really pour their heart into, the craft that they do. Just, trying to help them become, a young man and become one day eventually a father and husband. Just, to say I had a part in it, it just means a lot to me. And, I had some really good coaches that I looked up to and that coached me and, especially junior high school. And then, just to be able to give back and have those guys to be a part of it. And then, in their families, I've made some really good relationships and, some lifelong friends.
No, definitely, Coach. And, you've been able to take all of that experience and put it into your experience, and you affected so many lives in the Central Texas area, from high school, coaching high school basketball all the way up to what you've been able to accomplish at MCC. And like we said, folks, he's coming off of a win today. That game was on Centex Sports Network earlier as MCC got a chance to take on Lee College. Coach, you guys pulled out a close one in an overtime game against a really tough Lee team. Your second time playing them this year, matter of fact.
Yes, sir. It's hard beating a team twice, and especially you beat them at home the first time, and then, a couple, almost 2 months later, they're waiting on you with their fists balled up at their house, and they had it balled up. They had the band, they had great fan support and cheerleaders. Everybody was there, and, I was just proud of the guys for staying the course and taking care of business.
No, for sure. And you guys definitely did that today. You've moved on now and just a couple of games away from going into conference play now at MCC. You've got one more game next weekend or this coming up weekend. Then the next weekend after that, you'll be at home for the conference opener. Going into another year of conference, something you're very familiar with, multiple conference champions. What are some of those things you think your team is going to have to come together to do to be able to come out with another conference championship this year?
One thing is we preach, especially about this game here. This game against Lee College was like a conference game on the road, like a road game.
Yeah.
In order to win conference, you have to take your home, number one. And then number two, you have to go and try to steal as many as you can on the road. And that's what we stressed going into this game. It was a road game. You beat the team at home, and then now you have to go on the road and try to steal as many as you can. And our guys, we had a slow start, and then we got off to a double-digit lead. But good teams, they just gonna always make a run, and they made a run, and we went to overtime and held on. But great experience because it was going to Baytown. That's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And, the main thing is just to stay focused and stay together and, just keep fighting and be disciplined, number one. And, we still got some things to work on, but, we're heading in the right direction. And hopefully we got a couple guys that are injured that, we're trying to nurse and get back into playing by the time conference get here, and hopefully we can, make a run.
Coach, what is that like trying to galvanize your team when it's almost a new team every single year? I think this year was pretty much almost all new guys that you had to bring in this year and get them all on the same page, get everybody communicating the right way with each other, and then in just a short amount of time, try to come out there and play a conference and win a conference championship. Again, what is that turnaround like that you have to do every single year pretty much?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's becoming harder and harder. We only have one guy that played with us last year that played minutes, and he got hurt almost a year ago. We went to Arizona, so he didn't get to play any conference games. So we have nobody that played in a conference game for us, and that's why we scheduled the way we did. We, went to Oklahoma and played. We went to West Texas and played, in tournaments. And then, taking this trip to Lee, just playing against really good competition and just, seeing what's out there and, how different it is playing at home and on the road. And one thing that we preach is, the goal is 10 feet everywhere you go, but, the surroundings are different. So you may not be able to, shoot the basketball, and make shots every day at every place. But one thing that travels is defense. Yeah. And, our defense traveled today. I mean, it was an overtime game. I think in Waco we held Lee to under 60 points, and then today it was overtime. But, I mean, we did a good job as far as defending them. I mean, they have a good team. They got some good players, big, strong, and, it's just a testament to guys just believing in, the process, just trusting the process.
No, definitely. And like you said, the defense travels, and it did that today as you guys really got put to the test against a really good lead team, like you said, almost kind of like a conference game. Still joined on here by Coach Kevin Gill, everybody that's listening in with us on Centex Magic 94.5. Now, Coach, I know that you're not only a basketball coach, but you're also a huge sports fan, and I've seen you at just about every type of sporting event you can have here in Waco, football games, basketball games, all type of games. And I'm on here with Wayne, and we were just talking about some of these games in the NFL that just happened this past weekend. Any teams that you've enjoyed watching as far as football games? I know you're a big football fan. Any teams you've enjoyed watching so far this year, whether that's on the collegiate level or in the NFL as well in football this year?
Well, I know in the NFL, I really like watching the Baltimore Ravens. Man, they, I know there's a lot of Cowboy fans, and they had a chance to get Derrick Henry. And man, I don't get it. But Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, man, what a combination. Man, that's just, I really love, watching those guys. And then another deal is I kind of want to get Wayne's thought on this is, a lot of people, Philadelphia, I like watching Philadelphia. And Saquon Barkley, I know he has a chance to break the record. I think he's 101 yard away. Mm-hmm. And I know the Super Bowl is important. But I kind of want to hear Wayne's thought on what he think about him playing or not.
Well, Gil, this is what we discussed earlier. You give him the first half to do that because the ring is the most important thing, but that's a personal accomplishment that hadn't been surpassed in the last almost over 30-something years. So you want to give a guy an opportunity to break that record, but the main prize is the ring. So you go out and you preach and you say, hey, you put yourself in that instance. Like if you had a guy, you go into a conference basketball game and a guy needs 30 points to break this all-time record, but you have the playoffs. So what do you say? You give him a chance to do it, but not at the expense of getting hurt or hurting the team.
I totally agree because not only will that be a mark for Saquon Barkley, but that'll be a big accomplishment for the franchise as well.
NFL.
Analytics and everything else. Why can't we do both? Why can't we win the Super Bowl and have the most? Especially if you're that close and you got a chance to do it.
And you football players, so you get paid to
You're
play.
Football player.
Yeah, so you get, and that's just like basketball. If it was basketball, you get paid to play.
Right.
You don't think about injuries. You don't think about any of that. If they were playing for a playoff spot, then he would be playing, right? So now he's not, and they're already in the playoffs. But you got to give him a chance to do that.
But you know what I think, and I told my assistant coach that this morning before we got on the bus. There's too many people that hadn't played the game that have, I mean, they comment about this and that, but, I mean, when you get between those competitive lines and then, I mean, you have got to a position where you put yourself where you got a chance to be amongst the best of the best.
Right.
And reach that goal. Why not? I mean, it'd be different if he was 250 yards away.
Exactly. You 107, and then you playing against your former team that lets you go.
Yeah.
That lets you go.
Yeah.
So I mean, what better script can you have?
You got to let him get it. You got to let him get it. I would say even if it's going into the third quarter, then maybe the fourth quarter. But it's an accomplishment not only for him, but for his offensive line, his quarterback, and everybody that plays with him, because they'll remember that and they'll carry that on with him.
Yeah.
You know, they were a part of that. Because you're a team. So when a guy has an individual accomplishment and he makes that individual accomplishment, that's an accomplishment for everybody that played with him. You know.
I mean, and now you can say I'm the best that ever do it. And the team that didn't want me, I got a chance to break it against them. So they even give me more incentive.
Like you said, that's storybook.
Yeah, you can you can't write a story better than that. And I agree with both of you. I think you gotta let him go at it. You're not gonna get another chance, in my opinion. I mean, it's been 30-something years. You're not gonna get another chance to be able to break a record like that. Right. So I think you gotta let Saquon go. And while I got both of you on here, I wanted to get your opinion on this while we're talking about not playing. I had this lined up in the quick takes to get you guys' opinion. We saw over the weekend a lot of these bowl games going on, and Cam Ward got a chance to come out and break a record, the quarterback for Miami, in a bowl game as they played Iowa State. He came out and I think broke the record for all-time touchdowns in college football, and then he sat out the rest of the game, and his team ended up losing. Now, a lot of people have had a lot of different takes on that. We've seen a lot of guys sitting out in bowl games over the last probably 5 to 10 years. Guys take off on bowl games that don't play. He comes out and plays in the bowl game, breaks the record, sits out in the second half, and then his team ends up losing in the bowl game, and that's his last game at the school. What's y'all's opinion on that? Coach Gill, I want to get your opinion on that first, on guys coming in. Him playing the first half, I think, is what kind of got a lot of the controversy going, because if he doesn't play, I don't think as many people talk about it. But playing the first half and then taking yourself out and your team losing.
He played the first half so he could break the record.
Yeah, he did.
He broke the record, and then now he has a chance to help his team. If I'm his teammates, I'm not happy with him. Yeah. Because, I mean, we helped you break something, and now it's time for you to help us win, and you do not. And that's what's wrong with sports today. It's so many guys in it for only themselves and not the team. And that's just my opinion. But, I mean, he had a chance to help his team win. He just got his hands over his shoulder pads. And, you know, it's just a bad look. I mean, it's not like he had like, okay, well, y'all help me get this, but now it's time for me to help you guys. And, I think I'm going to just sit this one out. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I'm just from the old school where, right. You know, if you play, you play. And that's why I admire Shador and Travis Hunter, because they played the whole game and they were getting crushed.
Yeah, they were.
They played the whole game and they were getting crushed.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you go out there to play, you got to play the whole game. If you're going to sit out, then sit out. But if you come out and say, like you just said, Coach, you come out to break a record, and then when it's time for you to have your teammates back, you don't do it. Yeah. I think that's really tough, and probably left a sour taste in a lot of his teammates' mouth. Wayne, what did you think about this situation?
I'm just like Gil said. If you play, you go ahead and you play. Yeah, I mean, if you commit to playing, I'm not going to do it halfway. I'm going to do it all the way. And, man, it's so much. I mean, you played college ball, Gil. I played college. But when you play with your boys, man, it's like your boys, man. We doing it for each other. So, I mean, that's an individual goal that you broke by scoring so many touchdowns, but we help you achieve that. Now, help us achieve this win, because we boys, we going to all go down together. You know what I mean? That's like I mean, it's like fighting together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We fighting
Wayne
together.
don't understand what I'm talking about. It's like a group from North Waco playing. They going over to East Waco playing a football game. I'm talking about tackle football under the bridge. Where
and we did that a lot of times.
A dude on your team quit and don't want to play. Guess what? He gonna get beat up on the way home.
He gonna get beat up.
Why you gonna leave us out here by ourselves now? I mean, you don't do that.
Yeah, and that's the difference today. And
right.
I want to ask you this, Gil. The state of college sports, like the NIL, the transfer portal, and all of that.
Yeah.
How has that affected what you have going on at the junior college level? Has it affected that in any way?
It's starting to affect it because everybody wants the piece of the pie, but they don't want to put the work in. But there's no commitment because it's all about, okay, can I get this money? If I get this money and I don't have to practice hard, then there's one guy on the team that may get $400,000. The next guy getting $75,000.
Right.
So the guy that works hard in practice is killing the guy that's making $400,000. The guy that's making $75,000. But the coach is going to have to play the guy that's making the $400,000 because the boosters are paying him and they want him to play because they're paying him the money.
Exactly.
So it just makes it. So it just makes it tough, man. I mean, and it's getting worse. What they did is they made it easy for the guy that's to say, okay, I don't really have to go hard, commit, and work hard. I just want the money. Once I sign, it's gonna be my
right. And now they got it to where you can play 6 years of college football or college basketball, right?
Yeah.
Because you can play 2 in junior. Man.
Yeah, 2 years of junior college, and then you could go to the 4 year. Those 2 years don't even count, which that don't make no sense at all.
That means you're gonna have guys that's 26 out there playing
18-year-olds.
Yeah, playing 18-year-olds. And the thing about it is, guys, like you say, guys don't have to work hard. Like I could go to college now, and I don't even have to go to the. When I went to college, you had to work hard to try to get to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Now today, you can just play college football and take care of your family.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing. A lot of guys are doing. You're seeing guys like even a Cam Ward. This is his. A lot of people are saying, he let his teammates down. He hasn't owned these guys for about 8 months. This is his third or fourth college that he's played at, and we're seeing guys that are in their third years on their third team in college because they got an NIL deal from this place and they got an NIL deal from this school, and I think it's getting a little bit out of control, and they're gonna have to put some type of regulations or something on these NIL deals because if you're Miami, I'm sure they paid Cam Ward a decent amount of money, a couple $1 million to come down to play.
Yeah,
that probably includes the bowl game.
And if you seen go ahead, Gil.
I was listening to Penny Hardaway the other day. Penny's at Memphis, and he's saying that they're paying guys like $1.2 million, and they're getting it for 2 years. So those guys, they come in, they don't even work hard anymore because they say, okay, well, if I make 1.2 this year, I make 1.2 next year. I got $2.4 million in case I don't make the NBA or NFL, and that's just my fallback money. So now I ain't really got to work that hard. I got this money to fall back on. So they're not even hungry anymore. They looking at it as a different way. Where Penny said, when we were in college, we were looking to make the NBA so we could take care of ourselves the rest of our life. So we were hungry all the way through college. Now they get to college and that money make them where they're not really hungry.
And that's the difference. I was looking at a lawsuit from Leonard Hamilton in Florida State today where they promised 4 guys $250,000 and they say they never got paid. And that's the state the state of college basketball and college sports, college football, and all of that right now today. And that just don't make no sense. I mean, you almost have to promise a guy a certain amount of money to get him to come. Education don't mean anything anymore. It's who can pay the most.
It's who got. They going to the highest bidder.
And that's exactly what's happening, unfortunately. And like you said, these guys they're not going to work as hard because they got the boosters behind them. They're going over the head coach's position, and they're saying, hey, well, the athletic director gave me this much, and the booster said I'm worth this much. And like you said last week, Wayne, you don't even got to sit out if you transfer anymore. So If you don't like what the coach says, you could transfer. You'll be playing ball again in 6 months at another school.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, so we see.
But I just wanted to know what your take was on that, man. You gave a good one.
We on the same page.
Yeah, old school, because we both came out the same year in high school.
For the kids, yeah, we for the athletes, but I mean, they ruined it for the younger kids that come along because they're going to cut it out.
Yeah, honestly. And I said when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, I think it's a lot of kids in both sports that got the talent to go pro that we're not going to see go pro anymore. A lot of these kids are not going to make it past this college level ranking because you giving guys $4, $5, $6 million at 17, 18, 19 years old. That's not a good recipe for anybody, whether you're playing the sport or not playing the sport. Right. You turn 18 and you got $6, $7 million. You're not going to make the best choices every single time. So we'll see how this goes in college sports over these next couple of years. I think, like I said, they're going to put some rules and some regulations on it in order for it to get a little more normal than what it is right now. Because right now, honestly, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. We're seeing guys make $1 million and don't play a game and transfer somewhere else, and then maybe they'll play a couple games there while getting $1 million. Then they'll finally go and play again somewhere else. So it's a little bit all over the place. Coach Gill, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about, like I said, know you're a football fan. This 12-team college football playoffs that we're seeing right now. We got the round 2 of that coming up tomorrow and on New Year's. Again, what are some of the teams you've liked watching so far in this college football playoffs? What you think about some of these matchups coming up tomorrow and Wednesday?
I think like even in the NCAA basketball tournament, the first round it's going to be some blowouts, but I mean I think the games are going to be pretty good on the second round and third round. They should be pretty good. I mean I'm really looking forward to seeing Oregon play. I tell you, Texas got a really good shot if they continue to click on offense. It's going to be good, man. Oregon, like I say, Oregon's good. I'm interested to see Notre Dame. Now they're going to be on the big stage. But, I'm excited about it. I mean, because, this is the first time it happened, with 12 teams. And, it'd be really good if one of those teams that outside of the top 4, make it to the championship game and win that thing. But, I just think it's going to be fun because now you get to see guys that really compete and play for something.
Yeah. I think we're getting to the best time of it. Like you said, the first round, you're going to see some blowouts in there because they got to shake off some of those teams that might not have, that some people thought might not have supposed to make it, and some teams are outmatched and all that kind of stuff. But in this second and third round, I think we're going to get a lot of really good games coming up. So those games are on Tuesday and Wednesday, everybody out there. Coach, I want to thank you for joining in and calling in with us, man. I really appreciate your conversation and your opinions.
Talking to you guys, and man, I hope you guys have a great New Year, and man, y'all keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an excellent job.
Same to you, Coach. Same to you. I appreciate you calling in, and we're getting ready to watch you guys in conference in a couple of weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, yes, sir. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
That was head coach of MCC, Coach Kevin Gill, calling in with us and talking a little bit about his team, and then talking about some college sports and talking about some North Waco versus East Waco stuff for Wayne. They got to talk about that, and definitely appreciate Coach for calling in with us. Folks, we got to take one last break. When we come back, home stretch of the show here today, we'll talk about this college football playoffs. We'll talk about the matchups a little bit more. We'll preview this Monday night game tonight versus the Lions versus the 49ers, and do a couple more quick takes. When we come back here on Centex Primetime, stay tuned and stay locked in. We'll be right back after this break.
Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken #1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken #1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken #1 at 11th and Clay.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am Jalen Gillis, here joined by Wayne Walker. Just got done wrapping up in the first part of hour number 2, talking with head coach of MCC basketball, Coach Kevin Gill, and just got done talking about in hour number 1 some of these games in the NFL. In week 17 of the NFL, we're going into week 18 next week, and want to get a chance to talk about some of these college football playoff games that we got on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Before we do that, got a couple more quick takes. We talked about a couple of them with Coach Gill. I want to talk about some of these in the NFL. We talked earlier, Wayne, about Saquon and his pursuit to get this 2,000 or to get this record. Only 100 yards away now from being able to break this record. And we talked about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, but there's one person we didn't get to talk about that much, and that's Joe Burrow and where he sits in this MVP race because, and you said it earlier, it's not really too many people playing better football in the entire NFL than Joe Burrow is right now, and they have found themselves now all the way in playoff contention after, I mean, they were at one point like 3-8, 4-8, and everybody thought they were out of it, including myself. Just played absolutely terrible football at the beginning of the year, but now they're starting to put some games together. They won 4 in a row. Jamar Chase got a chance to win the Triple Crown. Joe Burrow playing outstanding football. What's your thoughts on them after their win against the Broncos on Saturday? What's your thoughts about Joe Burrow and then just the Bengals and their chance of being able to get into the playoffs?
Well, they're the hottest team in the NFL. One of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. I don't think anybody wants to play them at this point, and I don't think anybody from the AFC wants them to get into that, into the tournament.
Yeah.
And when I say tournament, into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but he has been playing better than anybody. I don't think he can win the MVP because they hadn't won enough games.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's done with no defense, man, is outstanding, man. And like I say, it's nobody playing the quarterback position better than he is right now.
No.
I mean, if you looked at that game yesterday and the passes that he was throwing and where they were thrown at, I mean, all you had to do is just put your hands up and it was right there.
Yeah.
I mean, a soft pass, great ball, just put your hands out and it was right there. So when you get to playing at that level where you pinpointing the ball like that, man, that means you're playing outstanding.
And he's been playing like that all year long. His team was just bad. Mostly that defense. They couldn't stop a nosebleed the entire year. And
that's exactly why they probably won't make it to the playoffs. But if they do,
oh, yeah.
They'll scare everybody.
Yeah.
Because they can put up points. They can put up points. I don't think they can stop anyone, but they can put up points. So that means if you're a team that plays them and they did get in the playoffs, that means you would have to go out and you would have to score every possession, or you would have to maintain ball control because these guys are prolific on the offensive side of the ball.
And Joe Burrow is the number one cause of that. Like you said, nobody's playing better than him right now, and their defense is what's been letting them down. You look at some of these games that they've lost. It's not a lot of teams that lose games. They lost the game 35-34. They lost the game to the Steelers where they put up 38 points. They lost a game to the Ravens earlier in the year where they put up 38 points. A game to the Commanders where they put up 33 points. Most of the time in the NFL, that's a recipe for winning. If your offense keeps putting up that many points week in and week out, and they've lost a lot of those games where they put up huge points. So
30 points.
Yeah,
you lose a game. Yeah.
Multiple times. I think he just threw for his 5th or 6th 400-yard game in that win against Denver that they had. He had 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, and that's what his stats have looked like all year. He just couldn't get the backup from his team, and then Jamar Chase is playing at an all-time high level, who I think is the best receiver in football right now. Yesterday, the Giants got a win, something I don't think I've said any this year. I know they got a couple of wins, but I don't even know if I brought it up on the show in their couple of wins that they did get. They beat the Indianapolis Colts 45-33, which is just, I don't know how you let that happen if you're the Colts, because they actually weren't eliminated from playoff contention until yesterday when they lost that game to the Giants. Giants scored 45 points, but in that win, they knocked themselves out of the number 1 spot in the draft. We just saw the Raiders do it last week and they won a game. We saw the Giants do it this week when they won a game, knocked themselves off of that number 1 spot now. And I'm not that mad. I'm not that mad at when teams do that. I understand the frustration. You get it, but these guys are going out here trying to win, man. These dudes are not thinking about who the number 1 pick is, because half these guys are not going to be on the Giants next year.
Right.
So why am I going to go out there and help you guys get a number 1 pick? Same with the Raiders. Half those guys ain't going to be on the Raiders next year. Why am I going to help you go out here and get a number 1 pick by putting bad film out there? Because every game that you play in the NFL, Wayne, you know that, is an audition for another team.
Exactly. And you don't think about that. You don't think about what position the Giants are going to be in. You think about you. Some guys are playing for incentives.
Yeah.
But the incentive is to go out and play your hardest and to win football games. That's what you think about when you play football. You don't think about if we lose, we'll get the number 1 pick. No, we're trying to win games. I'm trying to win at all costs. And that's what the state of football. That's why you play the game. You play the game to win, and you play to play your hardest. So you going out and putting out. You going out to go to work.
Yeah.
You're not going out to try to make the Giants or play for a loss. Who wants to go to lose? I'm not trying to lose on purpose so you can get the number one pick.
No.
And that may be an organizational thing, but as far as the players, we family. We going out to play. So I'm not going in and have somebody kick my door in and come in and beat me up at home. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
We got to go out and play, and we're going to play to win.
And that's what we're seeing a lot of these teams doing at this bottom. The order has switched around 4 or 5 times now with this bottom 5 teams because nobody just wants to go out there and just lay down and take a loss. You're not going to convince any of the players. You're definitely not going to convince any of the coaches to do that because they don't know if they're going to get a chance to coach again.
Right.
So they're not going to come out here and just put bad film out there, more bad film than they already have this year. So the Giants move off the number 1 spot, I think, move down to number 4. I think the Patriots have the number 1 pick as of right now.
And they're not going to draft a quarterback.
No, they're not. They're not.
But they can negotiate with teams.
They sure can. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think they're going to get to negotiating. And similar to the Bears, when they had the number 1 pick for 2 years in a row, and they negotiated and got multiple draft picks out of it, and then still ended up getting their number 1 pick down the line and getting a Caleb Williams.
The right opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do. I mean, you got Drake May, who's played pretty good, probably one of the best quarterbacks as a rookie, probably the second best, I would say. Him, Bo Nix, and Jaden Daniels.
For sure.
All these guys have played well this year, but they're not going to pick a quarterback, so they can negotiate with a team that's looking for a quarterback like the Giants.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what's going to end up happening. Just more ways for them to try to get some more draft capital. Switching over to college football, right before we talk about these matchups here in the playoffs, we saw the game last week. I'm sure everybody was watching. Colorado playing BYU. I know a lot of people going for Coach Prime and them. I was going for them and expected to see a better product on the field, but BYU came out and would pretty much smack these guys from opening kickoff to the end of the game. They didn't let up. BYU, you can tell this meant something to these guys. They wanted to come out and beat Colorado. These are both 2 Big 12 teams, 2 teams that actually were slated to get into the Big 12 championship game against each other, and neither one of them got a chance to get into the Big 12 championship game. So this was kind of almost a Big 12 championship game type of feel for both of these teams, but only one of them showed up, and that was BYU. BYU came out, dominated Colorado from start to finish. I mean, it was 20-0 at halftime, so this was a domination performance from the jump. When they ran that kickback, I knew it was over with. Those guys were flying around the ball all game long. It looked like they just wanted it more than Colorado. I don't know if the Riverwalk got to some of the Colorado players or what happened, but BYU came out there to play and it showed out there on the field. What'd you think about that game with BYU beating Colorado? 36-14 was the final score.
They were playing for something. You know, when you it's like the teams in the NFL when they play the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or teams in the NBA when they play the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And you play against the best players or the team that you hear about the most over the years or you grew up liking and everybody hate. Well, it's like that with Colorado in college football.
Yeah.
You know, these guys became that team that everybody hates and everybody wants to be. You either love them or you hate them. And that was their bowl game. That was their bowl game. That was an opportunity to be seen on television. You know, the world is going to, you know, the country's going to be watching when you play Colorado.
Yeah.
They want to see Travis Hunter. They want to see Shedeur Sanders. So, you know, guys, you know, people are going to be watching. So you're going to go out there and try not to get embarrassed. So you're going to go out and play hard. You know, you didn't get an opportunity to get in the 12-man playoff or the 12-team playoff. So, hey, this is your bowl game. So this is an opportunity for you to go out and shine. And BYU went out and shined. And I just think Colorado didn't take advantage of the opportunity that was given to them. You know, they started reading their own press clippings, and they didn't come out prepared, and they didn't come out and win.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think they looked prepared. I don't think they took the game as serious as BYU. Like you said, everybody wants to beat Colorado. Colorado wasn't going to get a bunch of praise for beating BYU, but everybody is going to get some type of recognition for coming out and stumping out Colorado like they did last weekend. So, unfortunately, that was the last game we got to see Shedeur play with his pops out there in Colorado and Shiloh as well. But those guys are going to the league, so I'm not feeling sorry for any of those guys. There's a lot of first-round picks finna go out there. A lot of money finna get passed out. So don't know exactly where Shadour's going. That he had the New York Giant cleats with him on the sideline, and everybody was talking about that because he said he knew where he was going. We don't know where he's going at this point now. And him and Travis, what I do know is him and Travis will both be top 5 picks. So shout out to them, man, and shout out to Coach Prime because they had a great season regardless of how it ended. I hate that he gave a lot of these talking heads and pundits some more material to talk about all summer long. But he had a phenomenal season regardless of what they tried to say because they had him projected to win like 6 or 7 games this year, and they won 9. So he definitely overachieved in that sense. Going over to this college football playoffs, round number 2 starts tomorrow on New Year's Eve. And I want to take a first look at some of these matchups. We'll talk some more about it tomorrow. We'll have Wayne back on here and Rocky, and we'll have some guys call in, so we'll talk some more about these games. I want to just do first look at some of these games here and these matchups. First game is tomorrow, the only game on New Year's Eve, and that is Penn State versus Boise State. Penn State came out and really just manhandled SMU from start to finish in their first game of the college football playoffs. They just look like the lesser team, and honestly, I expect more of the same in this second one. I think this game might be closer than what it was with SMU and Penn State because Penn State was at home and it was a little bit different of a feel. SMU inexperienced, playing on the road. I know they ain't been that cold probably all year long, especially not playing in Dallas. There was a little bit different air playing out there in Pennsylvania than it is in Dallas. But this is on a neutral field, playing at the Fiesta Bowl, taking on Boise State, who got a bye week, even though they played in a lesser conference, and everybody knows it's been listening on here. I do not think that Boise State should have got a bye week, but nonetheless, they got the bye. They're number 3 seed, taking on the Penn State team. Penn State right now, an 11-point favorite in this game tomorrow, slated to start at 6:30. Wayne, what's your first thoughts when you see this matchup, Boise State and Penn State matching up against each other?
Boise State has had a couple of weeks to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like 3-4 weeks to prepare, to be honest with you, since they played their conference championship game. So I'm thinking if I'm a team like Boise State, I'm thinking that Penn State is going to beat SMU. So I'm already game planning, and I'm looking at film from the whole year, trying to see what their weaknesses are and how we can combat them and how we can beat these guys. So I'm thinking they've been preparing for these guys for the last 3-4 weeks. They're game planning. So that gives them an edge in that regard because Penn State had to game plan for SMU, and they had to put a little stock into that. So they only got 1 week to prepare, 2 weeks to prepare for this game. So with that being said, I think that Penn State is still going to be the better team. I think it'll be a good game, and I think that Boise State will play well because they can run the ball, and they're going to run the ball because they have a guy that's a Heisman Trophy finalist, and he's rushed for almost 2,000 yards.
Yeah, almost 2,500 now.
Yeah, 2,500. He rushed for over 2,000. So they're going to put him on display.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done all year. And with Penn State, I think their run defense has been one of the toughest in the country. So, you put that on display.
Mm-hmm.
So I get an edge to Penn State. I think Penn State, I think they'll end up beating Boise State, but I think it'll be a closer game than what we think. I think they'll beat them by 10 at least.
Yeah, I see them beating them, like you said, around 10, 13 points, somewhere in there, because at the end of the day, I think it's just going to be too much. The same recipe I have for Penn State beating SMU. Too much Nick Singleton at running back, too much Datron Allen at running back for Penn State. They got 2 premier running backs, and Boise State hasn't played any running backs anywhere near that caliber all year long. They haven't played an offensive line this big all year long. They haven't played a defensive line, front 7 this big all year long. So it's going to be a different game for Boise State. I think Gentry will have his moments where he'll get off. He's the best running back in the country. I expect him to do that regardless what conference he played in. I expect him to be able to get off on whoever they go out there and play. Will it be enough? I don't know, because what are the rest of those guys going to do? What is Matt Madsen going to do, the quarterback for Boise State? What are some of these other guys, Camper, the receiver for Boise State? What are those guys going to do to step up against the rest of this Penn State team? Because all of these guys on Penn State are 4- and 5-star guys, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star guys. A lot of these guys at Boise State are not going to play at the next level. So it's honestly just a mismatch in my opinion, the size and skill level and the talent. So I got Penn State in this one to be able to come out with the win in the first game. Second game of the matchup will be at noon on New Year's Day. Texas playing Arizona State, the game that a lot of you all will be watching, because I know a lot of you guys are Texas fans that are listening with us. Texas, number 5, Arizona, number 4, playing in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Texas, the lower seed in this one, is a 13-point favorite still in this game going forward against Arizona State. And I think kind of like what we just talked about the last game, Texas just outmatches Arizona State at every position. They're better than them at every spot on the field. So Texas is going to come out with a win, similar to what we just saw them do against Clemson. The game was close, but at the end of the day, Texas just had better guys at everywhere on the field. And I think that'll be even more evident against an Arizona State team who's got a couple good players. I like Cam Scatterbo, their running back. He's had a great season and all that, but he hadn't played against this Texas defense. This is one of the best in the country that we're talking about when we talk about this Texas Longhorn defense. And then what is Arizona State's defense going to do playing against Trey Wisner and Quinn Ewers and Golden and all these guys, Isaiah Bond? What are they going to do to be able to stop Texas from moving the ball? So I see Texas winning this one pretty handily, in my opinion.
No doubt. What Arizona State does best is what Texas protects the best, and that's run the ball.
Yeah.
Texas' interior line and their defense has been playing lights out, and so I don't expect Arizona State to be able to run the ball, and that's what they do best. And then on the other side of the ball, when you talk about Texas, they've been rushing the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In the Big 12, you don't see a lot of rushing. You see a lot of passing. You see Shedeur Sanders. You see all of those guys. You see Texas Tech. You see all of those guys, they pass the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Texas ain't going to be passing the ball as much. They'll be taking what you give them. And they're able to rush the ball, and that's what's been working for them. They've been using ball control offense, and I think Texas is going to pound them. And I can see this game being a game, them winning by 20 points.
Yeah.
And that's how dominant I think Texas will be in this game. I don't see no way Arizona State win. I don't see no advantage that they have in this game at all.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Texas to win this game by 20.
I agree 100%. I see no advantage for Arizona State on this side of the ball. We just saw this Texas offense rush for almost 300 yards against a Clemson defense that all of us that watch college football know Clemson's defense is better than Arizona State's defense. Clemson's got some big guys on their defensive line. They've got some future draft picks on their defense. And Texas just ran for 300 yards almost on them. Arizona State don't have a chance in this one. Like you said, their best thing that Arizona State has is Cam Scatterbo at the running back position. And not even Georgia could run the football on this Texas defense. Nobody has success running the football on this Texas defense. They got probably the best defensive line in the country. And it's crazy that probably their best player on the defensive line is a true freshman, and Colin Simmons that just came from Duncanville, who just won Defensive Freshman of the Year in college football. But I don't see any advantages for Arizona State in this one. They got Texas right now as a 13-point favorite. Take Texas on those points, y'all. I'm gonna give y'all an easy layup right here. Go ahead and take Texas on that 13 points before it gets to more. Because by tomorrow or New Year's Day, it might be 17, 18 points in the spread. Because I don't see them with any advantage in this one. So I like Texas all the way around in that game. The game after that, third game in the matchup, a game that I thought was going to be the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the Oregon Ducks. Mutual field this time. Oregon got the slight advantage over them when they played middle of the season this season, but they played in Eugene, Oregon. And that Oregon crowd, as we saw, was ready and was loud and definitely played an advantage for the Oregon Ducks. They're playing on the neutral field this time. They're playing in the Rose Bowl, which both of these teams are familiar in playing in, Ohio State and Oregon. Right now, Ohio State's a 2.5-point favorite, which says a lot because Oregon's undefeated, been the number one team all season long. I actually like Ohio State in this game because I liked Ohio State to win the rematch they played in the Big Ten Championship. They didn't. I think that Michigan loss kind of woke Ohio State up, and we saw that in the way that they dominated Tennessee last week. And like I've said all year long, I don't think that this Ohio State team has lived up to their full potential. I think this is the most talented team in college football. As Wayne has said on the show multiple times, they got a $20, $30, $40 million roster that they paid for. So it's not a shock that they have the best roster in football. Outside of the quarterback position, I think they got almost the best players at just about every single position. If you're talking about group talent-wise, they got multiple 5-star receivers. They got 2 4- or 5-star running backs in Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. They got Jack Sawyer and Caleb Downs and all these guys on the defensive side of the ball. It's just what are they going to do with all this talent? Last week we saw them put it together, and they just smashed Tennessee, who was one of the top teams in the league and the nation all year long, and they made them look like they were playing in a completely different league. I like Ohio State in this game very narrowly, but I think this is probably going to be the best game of the weekend, Ohio State versus Oregon.
Hey, man, I have to agree with you. It's going to be the best game. And Ohio State is really playing for their coach's job.
Yeah.
I mean, if he don't win a national championship, if he don't get to he's out of there. I mean, these guys have the best talent in the country at Ohio State. Best receiver. They got all 5-star guys. So they're playing for a lot. But like you said, Oregon hasn't faced any controversy this year. They hadn't lost a game. And I see Ohio State winning this game. I do. I think it's going to be a very good, very, very good football game. But I just see Ohio State winning this game. This is not a layup here. So,
no. In no way.
This could go either or.
Either way.
It just depends on what you get. I think Oregon had a home field advantage because they're on the West Coast, and but Ohio State fans travel well.
They travel.
So, man, it's going to be a very, very good game. I'm like he says, like Jalen says, it's going to be the best game of the week.
Yeah, I love this game.
To me, it's a toss-up.
Either way.
It's either or. It's even, and I just see Ohio State pulling this out, man. I mean, it's hard to beat a team twice in a year, and I think Ohio State wins this.
Yeah, and it's super hard to beat a team twice. Just heard Coach Gillis say that when he was on there. And then when they beat them, they had the home field advantage, and they won by a point. And it was almost kind of controversial because Ohio State couldn't even get off their last play. They were discombobulated and all over the place, didn't know they had a timeout, whatever the situation was. But Ohio State was right there in the chance to be able to go down there and kick a field goal and win. They lost 32-31. Now we're on a neutral field. Now, like you said, Oregon will probably have the advantage because they're on the West Coast, but Ohio State travels well. And then the biggest part is I haven't seen Oregon's defense been tested all year.
Right.
They barely escaped that Ohio State game. And then when they played Penn State, who I think is way less talented than Ohio State is, they gave up 37 points to Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. I just don't see Oregon's defense being able to lead them to this next level.
I just think Ohio State rises to the occasion. You know, all the expectations that everybody had for them this year, I think they fulfill them this week.
Yeah.
And they'll come out and they'll beat Oregon.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, like we both said, it's probably the best game of the entire weekend of the college football playoff slate that we'll see. Last game of the night, Notre Dame taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Notre Dame, controversial team, only one loss, but their one loss is to a Northern Illinois team. Georgia Bulldogs won the SEC that we all agree is the toughest conference by far in college football. They came out as the winners in the SEC this year, but at the end of that game, Carson Beck got hurt. I don't know how healthy he is. I think he's expected to play in this game. I don't know how healthy he is. He wasn't even able to finish the second half of that game. Whether it's him playing or Stockton, I don't even know if they've named a starter yet for this game. I think that makes this game a lot closer than what I would have picked it if Carson Beck didn't go out with an injury. I still got Georgia being able to win this game, but, man, this is one that I would stay away from if I'm picking because, honestly, this can go either way, especially if we have to see Stockton get back in at quarterback, whose only game that he played really was that second half of that SEC championship game against the Texas Longhorns.
Jalen, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I think Georgia is going to win handily.
Okay.
I don't think Navy has faced anyone opponent this tough all year. And what Georgia is able to do on defense, stopping the run, and what they do to Texas and those big linemen and Texas being able to rush the ball. Well, Notre Dame likes to do the same thing. They like to run the ball. They like to have this two-headed monster at running back. They like to have their quarterback run a little bit. So that's their strength. That's the strength of their team is their offense in them, and they like to play defense. Well, for one, I think Georgia has probably 1, 2, 3 the best defensive line in the country.
Oh, for sure.
And probably the best defense in the whole country, bar none. So I don't think Notre Dame is going to be able to run the ball. So if they can pass the ball, then they'll be relevant and they'll be in this game. But if they try to go out and do what they did in the last game, I don't think they'll be able to win. You're not going to beat Georgia with a two-headed monster running the ball. One being one-dimensional and running the ball. You're going to have to be able to pass. And pass the ball. And if you can do that, you can beat them. But if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to beat them. Which they play man-to-man, bump and run, in your face, defense. So your receivers have to be able to get off the ball and win at the line of scrimmage. And if you can't do that, you're not going to beat a Georgia team. But on the other hand, Georgia, they can win with their defense because they get turnovers and they have great special teams.
Yeah.
So when you talk about 3 phases of the game, I'm thinking that Georgia is going to win 2 of them, the special teams and the defense. Those 2 phases. In the offensive phase is a toss-up between Notre Dame and Georgia. They try to do the same thing, and it depends on the quarterback. If Carson Beck plays, Georgia wins handily.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I still see him winning and squeaking out a victory over Notre Dame.
Yeah, like you said, if you can't pass the ball, they're going to be able to beat this Georgia team because running the ball is pretty much out of the question. I love Jeremiah Love. I think he's one of the best running backs in the nation. You're not getting a 99-yard touchdown like he got against Indiana on this Georgia team. And then in Notre Dame's most impressive win, Riley Leonard, who I'm not a fan of. I know Rocky will have him on tomorrow. He's a Riley Leonard guy, but I'm not a Riley Leonard guy at the quarterback position. In their most impressive win against Indiana, still 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So it wasn't that much of an impressive game from him, even though that was their most impressive win. So, like you said, Georgia got the advantage.
Georgia makes the best quarterbacks look bad.
Exactly.
And that's my whole point. So they make you feel uncomfortable. And I just think with their defense alone, they can win with their defense alone against a team like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And if Notre Dame can pass the ball, if you can get air yardage, then you have a chance. But if you can't get an air yardage and you're one-dimensional where you're running the ball, you're in trouble against Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. And so I think we both got Georgia coming out in this game. And, folks, we'll break these games down some more as we go into final show of the year, which is tomorrow. We'll try to get Wayne back on here. We'll get Rocky on here. We'll have some more guys call in tomorrow. The final show of the year.
91.
Talk some more about these games in college football. We'll talk some more about some of these NFL games. And we'll talk some more just about some things we've seen all year long. So, folks, make sure you tune in for tomorrow's episode, final show of the year, right here on Centex Primetime. We're out of time today, so we will see you guys tomorrow. Want to thank everybody for watching and listening with us on Centex Magic 94.5 and Centex Sports Network. We will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening and happy holidays and happy New Year.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1